Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming back at you with another wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we're going to continue on with my SPQR project. I am painting the Germanic Skyclad warriors. Alright, there are 12 resin models in the Skyclad warrior box with resin shields. I've gone ahead and instead of doing the shields separately, I've gone ahead and glued them onto the bodies. And I've also glued their spears. Now, a few of them, their hands were solid, had to take a pin vise to them to get the spears in there, but that's okay. All right, and we went ahead and what I did was I glued them down on some fender washers. I applied some spackling putty to the top of the fender washer to where the base is disguised. And then what I did was I primed it with a flat black spray paint. Off camera, I went ahead and painted all the areas that was going to be flesh with the German red-brown primer from Vallejo. Now, if you watched my skin tone and wash video, which I did just yesterday, I'm going to paint these guys with basic skin tone, and then I'm going to wash them with the Army Shade Flesh Wash. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and give it a coat of basic skin tone on this model. Not too worried about leaving any of the brown showing. If I do, that's fine. I'm trying to go for a more complete coat because I'm going to put a wash on it. Now I'm going to use this as my base model. I'm only going to paint this one on camera. The other 11 I'm going to paint off camera. Just to speed up time, you know, just so you don't have to sit here and watch me paint 12 models. Even though I suspect that these models are going to be painted extremely fast, because they're mostly just flesh. Some of them have capes, some of them have fur coats, some of them actually have loincloths, so they're not completely naked. As the paint starts to thicken up on the model, I can go over it a second time to kind of ensure coverage. Alright, so let me do the rest of them and I'll be right back. Alright, now all 12 of them have the flesh applied. Now what we need to do is allow this to dry fully before we put a wash on there, because if you don't let it dry fully, the wash and the paint will mix and it'll just become a glumpy mess. So what we're going to do is we're going to give this a good 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to let the flesh base completely dry before we move on to the next color, the wash. All right, now there's something I thought about doing while we wait for this paint to dry. I hate just sitting here on my laurels waiting for something to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my Model Master acrylic wood, and I'm going to paint their spears, starting with our test model here. Because all it is just taking this wood tone and going up and down the spear. Paying particular attention not to get it all over the flesh. I can get it on the shield, that's no problem. But I just don't want to get it on the flesh. And even then, I probably could get a little bit on the flesh because the wash will disguise any of my mistakes. But just do your best to avoid it. Okay, I think we're good. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do that on the 12, and then we're going to wait for the flesh to dry before we go to the wash. Be right back. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to paint the backsides of the shields that will be colored. I'm going to paint them with wood brown. All right, so I'm painting the back of them wood brown. Now give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and paint the rest of the shields here that need the wood brown, and then we'll be right back. All right, so now what we got the brown on the back of these shields like I said I was doing, but I also went ahead and used some US Field Drab, maybe with a little bit of tan yellow mixed, to get me these wicker shields painted as well. And all I did was do a little bit of a soft rub on those inside and out, and then I painted the edges with them. Okay, so all the wicker shields are painted and all the insides of the wooden shields are painted. So now I do believe that the flesh is dry enough for me to do a wash, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a flesh wash using the Army Quick Shader. Let's go ahead and apply some wash to this gentleman right here. Now this is not a full model wash, this is only the flesh. So at this point I'm not washing the weapon, I'm not washing his hair, I'm not washing the shield. Alright, now let me go ahead and finish up with the rest of the models, and then we'll be right back. Okay, now that the wash has dried, you can see where the wash had puddled up, like behind the knees, and on the shoulder blades and on the forearms and things like that. And this is our test model, the one with the blue shield. Now I went ahead and painted the shields blue, green, and red. I went ahead and did that ahead of time. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mix up a little bit of the flesh paint with water. I can about 75% water, so that I can go over the model in as like a highlight blending. And it looks pretty stark right now, like extreme differences when I paint it on. But when it dries, it'll actually be very subtle. It'll blend because it's actually mostly water. It's like 75% water in this paint that I just mixed up. But the main reason why I do this is to get rid of the stark contrast of the wash in areas that I wanted to be raised or highlighted, specifically like behind the legs, behind the knees. I didn't want that much puddling. All right, so let me go ahead and do this guy, and then we'll be right back. All right, now this guy I had done, and you can see how it settled down. And this one I had not done, so you could kind of see a comparison of the way it was before and after the blending. Yeah, you can see behind the knees on the right one where it's still got a lot of that wash. And then on the left, I went ahead and brought that back down. So let me go ahead and do this guy up with the same blending, and then we will, I've already done all the other figures, so this is the last one to do, and then we'll be right back. Okay, with half the models we used brown, but the other half we're going to use a sand yellow. This sand yellow will be great for a like blonde hair. So let me go ahead and what we're doing is we're doing every other model with the sand yellow. So let's go ahead and paint up the base model here with the sand yellow for a blonde. And we're going to paint the beard, we're going to paint the hair on his head, the top knot, and any other hair that he might have on his head. Now, what you're seeing me do there is I had too much water in the sand yellow, so I just dipped my paper towel into it to soak up some of the water out of the paint, and so that it would be a thicker mixture, because I was noticing it was a little runny on the head, and I was afraid that if I continued it would run down onto the model, and I didn't want that to happen, so we just thickened it up a little bit. And a lot of times you'll see when I do my painting, because I have a black base coat or a dark brown base coat, I will leave a small line between the colors, like between the flesh and the hair. You'll see like a black line. That's called black lining. You can do that afterwards with a pen or a marker, or just use very small paintbrush and make a black line, or you can do it while you paint. Just leave a little gap between one color and the next, and you'll automatically get that that black line effect. And a lot of people will use washes too to kind of get a black line, but I'm not going to do that. All right, now let me do the rest of the blonde characters, and then I'll be right back. All right, now the next color we're going to use is bronze by Model Color. It's actually my favorite bronze color, and we're going to use that to paint the shields, the 6 wooden shields, the edges, and the center bosses. So let's go ahead and grab my base model here. Holding the brush at an angle, I just draw a line up and down the top part of the shield. And again, I'm leaving that black. Now you might want to notice while I'm doing this, just offhandedly, you can see the blue. I also used the blending method on the blue. I painted the shields dark blue, but then I came back later with a true blue and water, and gave it a it kind of gives it like a two-tone effect, or a three-tone effect actually, because I did multiple layers. Now once you get the front part of the shield, you can go ahead and do the center boss. And then what I do is the outer edge of the shield. Just making sure that the bronze is all the way around, representing like a metal band on the outer edge that's holding the shield together. All right, now there is some mistakes or some overpainting on the inside where the wood is at, but at one of the very last steps of painting the shields is to go back to the inside with that wood brown and just fix any overpainting on the inside. All right, once I get all the shields done, I'll be right back. Okay, the next color is going to be plate mail metal. We're going to paint that on the spear tips of our spears. And it's super easy. You just put it on the top, put it on the bottom, and you are done. Now what I'd like to do is leave a small line of black between the wood and the plate mail. You might want to notice, see there's like a black line right there. That'll really enhance the fact that there's a transition between colors. Okay, let me show you how to do that one more time. I'm being silly because you should know how to do this like super easy. There's a black line there. That's one of my most important key points. There's the black line. All right, let me finish these spear tips and I'll be right back. All right, now we're going to take a soft tone wash, and we're going to wash various things like the cloaks or the fur coats or the hair or anything that's not the part of the flesh. All right, now on this base model, we're going to make sure he doesn't have a whole lot that's not flesh, so we're just going to make sure his hair gets the soft tone, because what that'll do is it'll settle down into all the little cracks of his beard and his mustache and his hair, and it will highlight all those little hair follicles, and it'll make the details of his hair stand out without ruining the fact that he's blonde. And I also do the inside of the shield as well, because the shield is textured, and that'll actually get like you see like planks and wood grain on the inside of the shield. So I do that as well. All right, well, let me finish these models and then I will be right back. All right, the bases are finished, and now I want to show you some close-ups. So like this was our base model. Whereas you can see the hair, you can see the way the shield is done. You can always add a little bit more, maybe a little bit more wash around the genitalia to represent his pubes or his underarms, or anywhere that you think there might be hair, like on the center of his chest or things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and show you all 12 of the models. Here we go, is another one with a red shield, red square, and this is one of those wicker shields. And yeah, these guys look pretty good. Let me go ahead and just keep on rocking and rolling, showing you. I got some green, and I did the blending on that, as you can see there too. And I also put a little bit of that wash on there, so that kind of gives it a three-tone. See, look at that blue shield. I thought that was really good, the way the blending came out, and the green blending as well. Now I did not put any of the wash onto the wicker shields because the wicker shields were black already, and because of the way there's holes on it, you could just rub or dry brush a color onto it and the black would still stand out pretty good. So you didn't need to put a wash on there and double the effect. Yeah, these were all done in one, well, they were actually done in 2 days because I let the flesh wash dry overnight. And I blended. Now he's got some sand on the bottom of his shield. It just comes right off. I don't know what yeah, and then blended cape. And finally, here's all of them laid out so you can kind of see them. This is the Germanic Skyclad Naked Warriors from Warlord Games for the popular game SPQR. Now I'm still also going to use these for my Hail Caesar. I'm going to use magnets on a 2-inch by 2-inch base to make unit bases. Alright, and this is all 12 of them in their birthday suits. Thanks for coming out and checking out this video, watching me paint these guys, and stay tuned to more SPQR videos. And I'll catch you next time.